Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Lisa Hanselman and I am the director of the Mountaineer Parents Club. We are thrilled to have this many people joining us tonight. If you don't mind, we'd love to be able to see you. So if you have those cameras on, we'll just enjoy that. You all can see each other. So we have a great evening planned for you all. We're going to start off. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Mountaineer Parents Club and introduce you to everybody here. So if you have not yet had the opportunity, please join the Mountaineer Parents Club. What we are is an organization on campus, and we are all about parents and family members. So we are a unit under University Relations. I actually work for WVU, even though I am also the mom of 2 WVU students. And we make sure that you all know what's happening on campus. We'll be sending you emails twice a month, full of lots of great information, deadlines, things we want you to know about. It's all going to be information your students have, but we're going to go directly to you because they're going to be super busy this year studying and meeting new friends. So we just sort of skip that and go right to you all. So also, as part of the Parents Club, you will be able to email us at any point. We'll invite you to things. And really, the Parents Club is the primary way we're going to reach out to families. So if there's any other news, something that the Dean of Students or President Gee wants to share with families, it's going to go through the Parents Club listserv. So join up. The links for this and many other things will be in the chat this evening, so you can just refer to that. And then we have some Facebook pages that the Mountaineer Parents Club runs. First, we just have the WVU Mountaineer Parents Club Facebook page. This is all about information across WVU, so please join that page. We also have the official families of the WVU, okay, I always screw this one up. The official families of the WVU class of 2024. That is our Facebook page for our incoming families. And honestly, join that, please. That is all incoming freshmen parents, all the same questions you have and the same answers. And it's called the official page because we do want you to be joining the WVU page. There are actually pages out there that companies have started. They claim to be from WVU, but they're not. They're not going to have a WVU person on staff to answer your questions. And eventually they're going to start selling you things. So we're not going to do that. Just stick with us. And then once your students are here and classes have started, we are going to push you to the official families of the WVU students. And that's a Facebook group. And you'll be able to join that with parents from all age groups of students here on campus. So one more thing I want to mention tonight is as you all go through the orientation site and you learn more and your students are going through orientation, look for College Knowledge. That's our very cool book that we put together. It's a handbook for parents and students, but we'd really like you all to be able to find that college knowledge, read it, look it over. It has phone numbers. It has all sorts of other information that we think is really important for parents to have. So grab that when you're on that site. And if you need anything else, you just need to reach out to the Mountaineer Parents Club. Our email address is on that slide. And you can email us at any point. You can send us private messages through Facebook. We have an 800 number. It's 800-WVU-0096, and you can reach us a variety of ways. We are always here to help. So now we'll introduce some of our guests. Let's start with our Dean of Students.
You ready for me, Lisa?
There you go. You can go ahead, just introduce yourself.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Corey Ferris. I'm Dean of Students at WVU. I'm a WVU grad and a West Virginia native, but I've also attended school at Ohio State and worked at the University of Iowa. So welcome, and I hope we'll be giving you good information tonight. And when the time comes, ask us lots of questions.
All right, Andrea.
Hi, everybody. I'm Andrea Beeville from the Eberly College of Arts and Sciences. I work in recruitment and academic advising in the Academic Affairs Office. Eberly has over 30 academic programs, so we're the largest at WVU. We cover the humanities, most of the social sciences, and then science and math as well. In addition to working with academic advising, We do a lot of on-campus recruitment events. So if you visited us in the fall, maybe you've definitely met my team. And also things like graduation certification and internships. Happy to be here.
Thank you. Jen?
Hi, I'm Jen Mandeville, and I support academic support and tutoring on campus. So any questions you have about our 13 tutoring centers, I'm here to answer them. Thanks, y'all.
All right, Katie.
Good evening, all. My name is Katie Condon. I'm the Director of Enrollment Management here at WVU. I oversee our new student orientation staff, which includes our awesome group of orientation leaders as well. And I'm here to answer any questions that you may have about the orientation or onboarding process for WVU.
Awesome. And we have two more who we could never do these Zoom meetings without. So Ricky, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, I'm Ricky Huffman. I am a marketing specialist for the Mountaineer Parents Club, and I also work with social media around the Office of Admissions. I am a West Virginia native. I actually have 3 degrees from WVU. I have my bachelor's and 2 master's degrees. And I'm doing all this stuff on the back end. So, you know, if you need anything, you can feel free to private chat with me if you notice anything weird with technology or you have a question, and I would be happy to help.
All right, Joel.
Hi guys, my name is Joel Brown. I also work with the Office of University Relations. I'm the Director of Brand Experience here. So I work with your students a lot on campus with events and experiences all over their experiences here with WVU. So from the recruitment team and the outreach team to working with Lisa and the Parents Club on a number of events for you all as well. So welcome, and you'll be hearing a little bit more from me later with questions.
All right, so why don't we get started here? I think before we go ahead, and we are happy to take questions in the chat tonight, we are going to go back to Ardina's students, and he has some things that we're going to start off with. So Corey?
I always have to remember to take myself off mute. But so thanks, Lisa. So hi, everyone. Let me give you a little bit of an update. And if you're not subscribed to the Parents Club, let me urge you to subscribe to that, because I'm going to talk a little bit about where we're going for the fall semester and give you sort of an update of what our campus is doing with related to COVID-19 and how we're making plans for your students to come back. But we're just now beginning to release that information. So if you're like I said, if you're not a member, please join, because over the next month and a half or so, we will be releasing new information weekly, and we will be regularly updating our website. So the first thing to know is that we will, our plans right now are to return to campus and have students on campus in August, so we can begin in-person classes. So when students arrive, and actually all faculty, staff, and students prior to the start of fall semester, we are going to be tested for the COVID virus, and that will be before classes begin. As classes begin, we will be doing some different things to try to de-densify classes, and so classes will begin on August 19th. We will go all the way through Thanksgiving, the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. I'll give you some of those dates in just a second as we start in-person classes. There's going to be a mix of in-person and online classes, or some hybrid flex or high flex classes as we're starting to call them, which means part of the class may be in person and part of that very same class may be online. Again, we will be working to spread people out. Our classrooms will have about 50% or so, give or take, of normal capacity. So we want students to be able to spread apart. The other thing that will happen is while students are on campus, or actually students, faculty, staff, or any visitors are on campus, we will all be required to wear masks when we are on campus. So students, when they are in their classrooms, when they're in the student union, When they're in other places around campus, they will be required to wear masks. Obviously, there will be a couple of exceptions to that. That will be when they're in the dining hall eating. And that will also mean when they're inside their residence hall rooms. And just so you know, we'll be helping out our students prior to arrival or when they arrive with those masks, because we will be distributing what I'll call sort of welcome kits to campus. And so each student will be given some sort of face covering, whether it's a mask that with loops over the ears or a gaiter that sort of pulls up. We'll be giving them disposable masks, hand sanitizer, and a safe touch tool. And that safe touch tool they'll be able to push elevator buttons, pull doors open, and things like that. I mentioned classes will begin on August 19th, and classes will go through Tuesday, November 24th. There will be only 2 days off during the semester. That will be Labor Day Monday and the first Tuesday in November, which is the federal or national election day. So those are the 2 days off that students will have off during the semester. There's normally a fall break. That fall break has been canceled, and we will go through Tuesday, November 24th. After that, so that starts the beginning of a few days off for everyone for Thanksgiving break. On the following Monday, classes will resume, but they will be online only. Students will not return to campus after Thanksgiving. So there will be a week of classes, and which is November 30th to December 4th. And then the following week will begin final exams. And then when final exams are over, classes will not resume on campus until Tuesday, January 19th. That's a week later than what our original schedule was. So Tuesday, January 19th will be when classes resume. Spring break will be canceled. We'll have a few days off during spring semester, but not a full week off like has happened in the past. And then the last day of classes will be April 30th, which is the normal end, or we had originally planned, with finals being May 3rd to May 7th. And then talking about one of the areas that I'll say that I focus on is if you know that there are 168 hours in a week, students are in classes, let's say 18 hours, that leaves 150 hours outside the classroom. So we're working hard to do a number of things to make sure students can use the dining hall safely, though we will be having our tables and chairs spread out and adding some dining areas so students can spread out and have their meals, or they'll be able to get their meals to go. Also, we're working on a number of programs so our students can engage and have fun with each other, and with clubs and organization activities. We know that we can't have big events that we're used to having, but we're working on ways for small group get-togethers and things like that. We don't want everything to be virtual because we don't like that, and our students also have told us we get that we have to wear a mask. But how do we figure out ways to get together? And so we'll be having a number of programs and fun activities to help students meet each other, engage with each other, connect to campus, and do many of those traditional things that happen on a residential campus. And speaking of a residential campus, many of your students, if not all, will be living in our residence halls. Our residence halls, we're going to be transitioning your students from your family to our residence hall family. So many of them will have roommates. With that, we know there will be an adjustment period, but we'll be working with them as we will continue to occupy our residence halls as they were designed. So if it's a double room, then 2 people will be in that room. And as I said, we'll be transitioning them from your family to their new roommate, which will become then their new family. And then one question you may have is what happens if our student tests positive at some point during the semester, because we likely will be doing what we call surveillance testing. So periodically selecting groups of students to do some follow-up testing, or if your student presents at our student health center with any of the symptoms and they do test positive, we will be setting up space for students to be isolated or in quarantine, where we'll be providing meals 3 times a day and helping them where they need help. But that's actually monitored and worked through our county health department, as well as with our own student health. But we've got a number of other things that we'll be talking about and will be released in the coming weeks. So not only should you be signed up with the Mountaineer Parents Club, because we'll provide that information to you, but also make sure your students are regularly checking their WVU Mix email account, I'd say 2 or 3 times a week, because we'll be regularly sending them information and updates about fall semester. And our general pattern is on Tuesdays of any given week, we'll be releasing general information. And then on Thursday, we'll have something called a campus conversation, where we'll talk about it in detail, and then we will be live and be taking questions. And you can see the slide on the screen that gives some of what we may be talking about each week, as well as the academic calendar. And with that, I think I'll turn that back to Lisa, and then we will go from there.
All right, thank you, sir. Okay, folks, we're gonna go back to Joel. He's gonna get us kicked off here.
Great, thanks, Lisa. So I see some of you are already using our chat feature, which is fantastic. So that leads me to the question and answer portion. So if you have a question that you would like us to answer, please feel free to use the chat feature and send that to us, and then we will go through those and get our experts to answer those. As far as the evening, we're going to start off with question and answer, and then after we get done with question and answer, we're going to move on to a fun portion. I'll turn it back over to Ricky, and we're going to do a WVU trivia. So that's about 15-20 minutes of fun and to pit you up against each other and parents against parents to see who knows the most about our university. If you have used Kahoot before, that is the app that we will be using for this evening. If you have an iPhone or you have a computer handy that you're not watching Zoom on, you can download the Kahoot app, or you can open a browser and go to Kahoot.it, and then we will give you a PIN number and you can join. So without further ado, I'm going to scroll back up here, and our first question here, Corey, this is from Ryan. Can you talk a little bit about move-in day restrictions?
Yeah, and actually, I see several that are related to move-in, and so I did not talk about that. So let me talk a little bit about that. So move-in will be a staggered move-in. It will be a slow move-in, rather than if you've either moved in your student to WVU or other campus where it's usually a day or 2. We're likely to do a move-in period over 7 to 9 days, and here in the next few weeks, we'll have the specific details, and your students will be able to sign up for the specific day for move-in. And as for restrictions, we'll announce those. I mean, one of the things that we've often had in the past, quite frankly, is we've had 2 or 3 carloads of family members arrive. It is exciting for our students to arrive on campus. But as we start transitioning and try to manage that safety of our campus, as well as your students and students who are arriving, as well as faculty and staff that will be on campus, we'll probably have some limits on the number of people that will be able to arrive on campus to help your students move in. And we know that very beginning of the semester is where we're all going to be most at risk until we get everyone tested, we get everyone settled in, and our campus brought back to life as our family members then go back home.
Awesome. We have a question here. We actually have 2 questions about dining. Will all meals be grab and go, or will we have someone serving the meals instead of a buffet? And then to partner on top of that, how will simple servings work in the cafe since it is a buffet?
Great question. So first of all meals, so the old-fashioned traditional buffet, self-serve, it will not take place. So all meals will be served. And so not everything is to go. We will have a whole lot more to go, but there certainly will be plenty of hot meals and simple servings and all of those things for those that have food allergies or other special needs, whether they work with our dietitian or they just want to take the vegetarian or other simple servings off the hotline. So, but everything will be served in to-go containers, but not everything is to go, if that makes sense. There certainly will be grab and go soups and salads and sandwiches and things like that, so students can grab those and walk out. But if students want to sit down and have a meal, they certainly can do that.
Great. We have a couple more questions about fall exams and how the semester is going to work. So fall exams will all be remote. That is a question from Lee.
Yes, that is correct. The final exam, Joe, let's be clarify. Final exams will be remote, which is the second week or whatever that was in December. But there may be some other regular exams that will take place during regular class periods.
Okay. And then as more states open up, do you think these restrictions may be reduced as well? That's from Joe.
Joe, that's a good question. Quite frankly, one of the things that we're doing is we're paying attention and listening to our infectious disease physicians and our epidemiologists and the healthcare experts, not just in our WVU medicine and our health system, but also at the state level. And certainly we're paying attention to what the CDC is saying. Our own executive dean and vice president for health sciences, Dr. Clay Marsh, has been the coronavirus COVID-19 czar for the state of West Virginia, and has been advising the governor and others. And so depending on, certainly things will be changing as the health folks say things can change. But right now our plans are, as we roll them out, will be to wear masks and reduce the size of class and things like that. But in due time, I'm hopeful that those restrictions will be released, but certainly not at the risk of doing something that's dangerous.
Corey, can you, Carolyn asked, will the COVID test be saliva or swab?
Great question. That COVID test will be a swab, and it will be the anterior nasal swab, from what I'm told, which is just the front part of the nose. It's not the one that we often hear about, that they stick the long swab up and it touches your brain. So that's not the one we've got. It'll be just the front part of the swab, the front part of the nose.
Perfect. We're seeing a number of questions about COVID-related matters here. Just a reminder, and Ricky, can you go back to the slide that has the return to campus web address on it? Folks, the greatest resource for a lot of those questions, and we will answer some of them, but there's just so many, is to check out the Return to Campus website, and also email returntocampus@mail.wvu.edu. And that is where we're doing all of our COVID-related questions, so they can be answered by a central point to make sure that you're getting individualized answers for those. So please do check that website, which is going to be found at wvu.edu/return-to-campus for a lot of those questions. Andrea, yeah, Corey.
Joel, if I can say, if one of the things to remember is to check that Return to Campus website frequently, because we will be updating it, I don't want to say daily, but certainly several times a week as more information is released.
Awesome. Andrea, this one is for you. How will English work online if it doesn't list a time/day for meeting? Do they just watch a lecture at any time? Is it self-paced, or will they actually have a meeting time?
So English 101 through 103 will all be online this fall. So we could free up the classroom space to allow for more social distancing for courses that aren't easily taught online. But there is a long history of the courses being taught online already, which actually worked out really well. So it will not be self-paced insofar as there will be specific deadlines throughout the semester. I'm not sure at this point if there will be set synchronous meeting times as a class, but there very well could be. All of that will be included in the student's syllabus, but there will be lots of check-ins, lots of one-on-one time with the faculty member, and also office hours as well. So that class is called process-based, which just means there's a lot of work between the student and the faculty member writing their English 101 and 102 papers. So while it will be online, there'll still be a lot of contact hours, but insofar as whether it will be a set day and time for meeting, I'm not sure. If that's not listed on their schedule, then that is not the case. They will just have set deadlines and things they have to attend on their calendar.
Awesome. I have one more for you.
Sure.
Perhaps Dr. Bebel, how do we find out which dual enrollment classes WVU accepts/transfers?
A great question for me, actually, Joel. We actually will take credit from any other accredited colleges or universities, and the best person for your student to talk to about that is their academic advisor. So if they've already gone through their new student orientation portals, they've had their pre-advising meeting, during that professional advising session, just make sure that your student mentions that they do have some dual enrollment credit coming in, and then their advisor can walk them through the steps they need to take to see how those credits transfer in. We also have something called a self-service system. So if you don't want to wait until advising, you can go online and check the credits yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and put that link in the chat box, and you're able to search by institution, by class, and then see what the WVU equivalency would be. And don't fear if it's not on the database, it doesn't mean it doesn't transfer in. It just means we have to ask a little bit more information about it. So we've got lots of people to help work through that process.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Bebel. Lisa, we've got a number of questions here, all the same one. People wanting to know what the status of Fall Family Weekend is.
Well, you know, it would be our goal to have Fall Family Weekend on campus. But at this point, it's not quite looking like that's going to happen. We are still sort of making a couple of final decisions. We should have something later this week or next week in the terms of an announcement. So even if we can't come to campus and have our regular Fall Family Weekend like we would prefer, we will certainly do something online. So right now, Fall Family Weekend is scheduled for October 2nd through the 4th. We will absolutely, even if it is virtual, do something the evening of October 2nd and have some things on October 3rd for families. We'll probably be able at that point to get several schools and colleges to do events, and as well as large meetings. The president will join us, all sorts of things. So I'm still working out those details. Check back on that Facebook page. We'll be making some announcements about that, and we'll have it in our emails that we send. But in about the next 7 days, we'll come to that decision and let you all know. We'd love to see you, but it might just not work out for this semester.
We'd love to see you at least 6 feet apart from us. Another COVID-related question, will students be required to wear masks for the entire fall semester, or is it possible that this policy might be relaxed if the COVID threat is further minimized during the coming months?
Well, I think that it has the option to be modified if the healthcare folks deem it's appropriate to be modified. But at this point, the plan is to go all the way through fall semester with masks. But I mean, as we've all watched what's happened since February or March and how everything's been turned upside down, anything can happen between now and August, and anything can happen from August to the end of November. So we'll certainly, if that's an option, that will certainly be a campus-wide announcement.
Awesome. One more Corey COVID question. Are students going to be instructed to go to the health center, or I'm guessing student health, to be tested throughout the year for COVID if they're not feeling well?
Yes. So the initial tests are going to be at several locations around campus when students arrive on campus. But if they're not feeling well, one of the things that we'll be asking them to do and guiding them to do is first to call student health before they go to student health. So student health, if there's a particular protocol they want the students to follow, a particular way they want them to enter the student health building, then they will have that information ahead of time. Student health is physically located on campus. It's on the Evansdale campus next to the Student Recreation Center. and next to the soccer fields or the recreation fields, if for those of you that have visited campus. So it's convenient, and it's right on campus. But yeah, student health will be the best and the most convenient place for students to get tested once they speak with them to make sure they're a candidate for testing.
Awesome. Let's see here. Katie Condon, we have a question for you. My son forgot to register for his WVU 188 class. How can he add that class now?
Yeah, absolutely. So if a student's already gone through new student orientation, their academic advisor places what's called an advising hold on their account so they cannot change their schedule for the remainder of the summer. So all your student needs to do is contact their advisor. Either they should still have the original contact from the advisor from their appointment, or it can be found in their degree works. Contact that advisor, let them know that they need to add that class. The advisor will lift that hold for them for like 24 hours so they can make that change, and then they'll put it back on for you.
Awesome. Thanks, Katie. This has been a popular question for us lately. What type of laptop should an engineering student consider purchasing?
Well, I'll start with that one. So an engineering student can use any laptop they choose, but it has to have a Windows program on it. Engineering requires that they use Windows. So any laptop you want, but you can just make sure it has the Windows. And any parent who's interested, you can go to WVU Information Technology page. Under student resources, there's a list of things about what sort of laptops, and really only about 3 programs have a specific requirement for a laptop. And most say it's totally up to the students. Some use laptops, some use iPads, some use Chromebooks. And on that page, you will also see which software is free to students to download. You can get that right off of the IT page. We do offer some of those things free to students, including an antivirus. So they can just load that up to their computer there and save you all some money that way.
Any other computer-related things folks would like to add?
Or something else.
I think Lisa got it good. Yeah, I mean, absolutely take advantage of the free or reduced software that's available. So if you're buying a new laptop, before you load it up, like Lisa said, look on that web page, or have your students look on that web page, because they can download some great software.
Corey, we're having a number of questions also about Adventure West Virginia trips, and will those happen in August? Can you talk about Adventure a little bit and how we're handling that?
Yeah, so we have moved our Adventure West Virginia programs to August. Some obviously we planned on running some of those programs during June and July, but that's not taken. That we've not been able to do that. So the Adventure folks have been reaching out to students and to see if they're available for those fall programs right at the beginning of from August 1 or 2 or something like that, the beginning of August up until the first day of classes. They're also going to be running some of Adventure West Virginia like programs during the weekends once classes begin. And I believe during late July, they were going to try to do some virtual Adventure West Virginia, but the in-person ones with appropriate social distancing and things like that, there will be a number of those that will take place in August. So if you're interested or your student hasn't been contacted, if they pre-registered, just reach out to the Adventure West Virginia to see what the status is of your student's reservation.
Great, thank you, Corey. Kenzie says, I know you don't encourage freshmen to have cars, but my daughter is coming from Connecticut and we won't always be able to come get her, so we will need to have a car here. Are there parking garages available and areas where she can store her vehicle?
Well, first of all, there's one part of that question I really like, and I'll hit on it in just a second. In the broadest sense, we don't recommend first-year students have cars on campus, but I certainly understand for different families and different students, their needs, like this particular person who asked this question. We do have some storage. What I liked is where she can store the car, and that's the best way to describe it. We do have some storage lots Probably the most likely ones your student will be able to buy a permit for will be up by the law school. It is a walking distance away, so it is not something that your student will be regularly accessing. So my advice is to have your student contact the WVU parking office to see if they're selling those parking permits yet. Generally, first priority goes to returning students, and so returning students have been able to buy their permits for a while now. Now that we've begun orientation, reach out to the parking office to see what's available and where it's available. The key is to have that parking permit someplace because tickets get expensive.
Thank you, Corey. Let's see, Mike is asking, will there be a room and board cost reduction proportional to the decreased numbers of days students will spend on campus for fall 2020 and spring 21?
So just in a simple answer, there will not be. When you look at the number of fall residence hall days and spring residence hall days and meal days, the difference is like just a handful because of how we've canceled some of those breaks, as well as we're opening up earlier for our students to move into the residence halls, which means when we're opening earlier, meal plans will be in full effect and dining will be available.
Let's see here. We have a question from a parent about kids being stuck in dorms. Are we worried about that and worried about them feeling secluded? And what will we be doing to make sure that they are still active in an environment and taking part in some experiences?
So always remember that the residence hall experience will still be full, and students will be able to get out and participate in clubs and organizations and use the student recreation center. We'll have a number of activities that will be small group based that will be taking place around campus, but every residence hall and every residence hall floor has one, if not two, resident assistants, which are upper class students who serve as guides and mentors and they develop programs with students on their floors. And there are residence hall coordinators who will plan and help RAs coordinate those programs for their floors, or maybe it'll be a couple of floors or students from different areas who will be getting together. So we're absolutely paying attention to that because part of that collegiate experience is for students to get out and about and engage with other students. So we don't want them to constantly stay in the room. That's why we've got a number of activities that we've got planned and will continue to plan.
Let's see, Dr. Bebel, how are classes like chemistry with labs going to be taught online?
Excellent. So actually the lectures were decided we could more easily social distance for their lectures. So most of our basic science classes have a lecture and then a lab. So the lectures will still take place for the most part on campus, but in just much, much larger areas than before, with fewer students and then more sections of those classes, or the high flex model that Dean Ferris mentioned. The labs, we weren't able to socially distance in the labs due to their size and their capacity, but also the logistic difficulty of getting in and properly sanitizing between labs. So a committee was brought together to investigate the very, very best online lab technologies available for teaching. There have been many universities doing this for some time, and necessity is the mother of invention. So after a long investigation and kind of interrogation of our products available to us, the university has settled on a really wonderful software system that, while not replacing the in-lab experience, comes, I think, far closer than most people would imagine being possible. So the technology is to the extent where you can actually fine-tune your dexterity in terms of handling lab instruments and things like that. So that is why the decision was made to move, let's say, the labs online versus the lectures. And we still feel very confident that students are going to have a really good experience in their basic sciences and be well prepared to move forward through their science sequences after. It's a great question.
Thanks, Dr. Bebel.
You are.
Will campus gyms and the rec center be open?
Yes. Yes, the rec center and swimming pool will be open. We received guidance from the state and the governor and the health folks. And so we've got a plan and those will be open. Obviously, There will be some things that we won't be able to do as we've done in the past, like some,
Yeah, can I get number 10?
Well, I hope the number 10 is as delicious as it sounds. Thank you, Barbara.
Are you taking requests for all of us?
but the gym, yes, the gym will be open. We won't be able to do some of those intensive classes as we've done, and the fitness equipment and the machines will be spread out. And we'll do some extra cleaning and have wipes and things like that, not only for students to wipe down in between use, but we'll do deep cleaning each day.
And Corey, on the same lines, do you know how we'll operate with club sports and intramurals during a time like this?
Yeah, so that's going to be very difficult for us. So we've not figured that piece out yet. So more, the best way to say that is more info to come. Certainly the sports that don't require contact and are probably 6 feet apart, and that's probably fencing and some few other things. Those likely will be able to take place, but many of our others won't be able to take place. And one of the things that the campus will have a restriction on, because many of our students participating in club sports, much of their travel is paid for by the university, but university travel for faculty and staff and others using university funds will be suspended through fall semester. But more to come on club sports and intramurals.
So we've had a number of questions from parents about two things here, and these are both Corey related. One, if there's no fall family weekend, can we still visit students or will there be restrictions? And then in the same vein as that, talking about move-in weekend, will they be able to help their students move in?
Yeah, so our plan is for parents to be able to help their students move in. We likely will put out some guidance on the number of family members that may help students move in. Similarly, parents, you can visit your students. One of the things is we try to protect our students. We may put some restrictions on, again, more information to come on how students receive or have visitors once the semester begins and we get everybody in place. But more information to come as we finalize that and take our guidance from the healthcare folks that we're working with.
Again, parents, make sure you're checking that Return to Campus website. That's really going to be your greatest form of information, as that is going to be updated as we get that information in hand. And also the Parents Club. Lisa and Ricky do a fantastic job of updating those Facebook pages and contacts and emails. So feel free to send an email if you have those questions. Another group of questions that we're getting, Corey, as all too familiar to me, is Welcome Week. And parents want to know how we're going to manage Welcome Week and how we're going to welcome our students back.
So we're still working on that welcoming plan. Many of you are aware we've had some lots of big, fun, large gathering welcome week activities. We are not able to do many of those. You may remember we've had Fall Fest or Food Fest, or we've had Movie Fest in the Coliseum, or we've had a big stadium event with the marching band and some coaches and some members of our athletic teams, and we take a class photo with our students inside the marching band who's formed the shape of the state of West Virginia. So obviously that maintain that social distancing requirement. So we'll be coming up with some new and different programs, and we'll share those with students as those develop. But we do absolutely want to welcome our students to campus more than just with a nose swab as we test them.
That would be a creative welcome if there ever was one. Let's see here. My daughter is a student and she's had some problems with the Mountaineer eateries not taking swipes. Are we addressing that situation and adjusting so more places like Chick-fil-A will take this form of payment in the fall?
So we're still working through all of that. A few years ago, students were able to use their meal swipes in lots of places around campus. we've adjusted that and increased what we call dining dollars. So instead of having a swipe, they got more dining dollars, which allowed them to eat at Chick-fil-A and other places at the hub. But as we transition and deliver meals and provide our meal plan service differently, absolutely, we're looking at a number of different ways of increasing the locations of where students can get meals to go. But I can't necessarily say that it will be Chick-fil-A, but there will be other places that will be a part of the dining plan. But students, again, can use their dining dollars at Chick-fil-A and the food court and Evansdale Crossing.
Perfect. We're getting some questions about athletics, and I don't know, Lisa or Corey, can either of you speak to when the decision might be made about the football season?
I think that we are waiting on, it's so much bigger than just WVU. We aren't able to make decisions until the NCAA and the Big 12 make their decisions. Once the Power 5 conferences kind of come together with what they're going to do is when we'll know what we're going to be able to do here at WVU. Corey?
Well, and the only other thing to add is it as you might imagine, it is very complex because every large football program, football programs are in different cities, different counties, and different states with different rules. And so trying to merge all of those things together is a huge undertaking, and I think that's why the Power 5 and NCAA, they're all trying to figure it out because, some states may be open to allow athletic competition and with people in the stadium, and other states may not have that. So I think they're trying to figure out what's the best way, safest way, and fairest way to if sports are going to be played.
Perfect, thank you. Let's see here. We have a question of, my son is in a suite in Seneca. Will the bathrooms be cleaned more than every 3 weeks?
So I don't know the answer to that. I mean, I know they're going to be cleaned. There's still a regular cleaning schedule. What the cleaning schedule is, I don't know. But one of the things that I do know is for students, regardless of what our cleaning schedule is in those suite style bathrooms, we'll make cleansers and towels and sanitizers and things like that available to students. So if they want to wipe down their surfaces every single day, they're certainly able to do that with the cleaning supplies that we'll be able to provide to students.
Great. Corey, do we have any idea when the phased move-in dates will be shared? A lot of parents are trying to plan, and obviously, understandably so, trying to see how they can plan to come back to campus.
Yeah, we hope to share that within the next few weeks. I don't have a specific date on that, but I'll say soon, because we know you've got to make plans. We've also obviously got to make sure we're ready at our end too. So sorry, Joel.
No, you're fine. This is a time of trying to stay nimble. I for sure understand that. Let's see here. If everyone in the school is testing negative, can we relax some of the precautions? And then also, in the same vein, if everyone tested negative on entering, why are we having so many restrictions on welcome week?
Well, a great question. I mean, so the testing will only, quite frankly, provide us that whether a student is negative or positive at that moment in time. And because we won't be able to restrict student movements or others in our community who will be coming and going, or when the virus comes into the community, we just won't be able to, for example, do welcome week activities because we won't have likely all the tests back by the time we start welcome week activities. And similarly, we know it's like I said, it's a moment in time, and so it would be in a perfect world if everyone tested and then everyone stayed into place, but no visitors came in and no one in the community transmitted it to a student or something like that. I just don't think that that's going to happen. But when we can relax the restrictions, we absolutely will relax those restrictions. I mean, that's the key thing. I mean, we heard our students loud and clear tell us we want to be back on campus. We understand what the restrictions are. And we want to have in-person classes, not 100% online classes. And so doing that and listening to our healthcare, public health folks, we want to do it in the safest way possible.
And you know, to on top of that, being an intimate part of the Welcome Week planning experience, while we would love to be able to plan, if we even in a perfect world, like Corey said, of getting all of the tests back as negative, in many cases, we would be planning starting in May for an August return. And we've got events that have such intricate movement plans and buses and vendors from all over the place. So while we are as upset as you all are, unfortunately, we have to stay nimble and keep everyone safe and sound. Let's see here.
I can check if it does make anybody feel better. Welcome Week is actually Joel's baby. He's the one that leads the Welcome Week efforts. And talking with him, I know, you know, how much it breaks his heart that he cannot execute the amount of plans that he has in the past. So it's pretty tough on everybody.
It's a big and exciting time here on campus, and we are working our hardest to make sure that we do welcome them back. And we will do something fun and different. It will not be the replacement to Food Fest or Fall Fest, but we will do something fun, and we are going to have ongoing programming for your students when they come. And we're very excited to try out some new things. Obviously, it's a weird time, as you all know, and it is to stay creative and stay inventive and utilize technology while still trying to make sure that we can wrap our arms around them and that they can see each other and still get some student experience. We've got some questions coming in about what Mountaineer Parents Club buses and how much they cost and how they work, Lisa.
Okay, so within the Mountaineer Parents Club, we do have chapters in different areas, and in several of our areas and through our Parents Club here in Morgantown, we run buses that will take students home for holiday breaks. Typically, this would be Thanksgiving break, winter break, and spring break. This year, the buses will only be running in that one break between semesters. We'll be running buses most likely here from Morgantown to several areas. Pennsylvania, New York, Virginia, Maryland, New Jersey, and clubs in New Jersey and Central Maryland and Northern Virginia and hopefully Long Island will also be running those buses. They are roughly anywhere from $150 to $175 round trip, and we take students to various locations. We'll have all of this on our website very soon once we kind of make all these final plans. But if you are interested, the buses will bring the students back. It's a great way to get the students much closer to you. It may not be exactly in your hometown, but it might only be about 45 minutes to an hour away. So it's certainly worth it. We will have that on the Parents Club website in probably 2 to 3 weeks. Thanks.
Perfect. Thanks, Lisa. Jen Mandeville, transitioning to college is a difficult thing for freshmen. Can you talk a little bit about new study habits and how developing those are honed and important? And will there be an extra emphasis placed on teachers and advisors to keep an eye on students who may be struggling as classes will be online and in-person meetings will be limited?
Sure. So West Virginia has 14 awesome academic support centers, and I would encourage your student while they're home this summer to get familiar with them. All of our centers will be offering virtually, so all of our academic support will happen online through most likely the Zoom platform, so they can still meet in a face-to-face style with a shared whiteboard and share their work. On top of those content-specific support centers, we also offer academic coaching, which focuses more on those holistic study skills and in particular helping students find success in online learning platforms, which may not be a skill that they feel like they've mastered yet coming out of high school, and many of us are still figuring it out right now. So we'll have some coaching, which are one-on-one appointments that can happen, and your student can sign up for them. They'll learn a lot about this information in their first year kind of experience and freshman orientation class that they'll take, but I encourage them to check out our website, which I'll put in the chat, but it's tutoring.wu.edu, and already take a look at the centers We offer a variety of drop-in and appointment-based. And I think I'll kick it to Dr. Bebel if she doesn't mind to maybe talk about advisors and their extra focus that they'll be giving.
So I was happy to see this question come up in the chat. And one of the first things I thought about is when we had to very quickly pivot in the beginning of March to sending our students home and all of us going home too. I think two of the quickest services that bounced up online were both tutoring and academic advising. And they were some of the easier offerings, if I dare say, in this context, to still have meaningful interactions, because we do have the blessing of technology in this case. An extra emphasis, of course, is being imparted to both our faculty and all of our academic advisors, at least in any meetings for fall planning that I have been in, because we know that the transition as a freshman is difficult under our normal circumstances. But I'm also really proud to say, being here at WVU, we have always been 100% focused on that. We have always been really keen, both faculty and in particular the academic advisors, in helping your students seek those resources that they need to be successful here at WVU. So please encourage your students, all of you, to ask for help before they think they need it, whether that's from their academic advisor, a faculty member, or an academic tutor. So to that question, I think it was Mary Beth that asked it. Wonderful question. And lucky for us, we've already got a lot of practice at putting that at the forefront of what we do.
Awesome. We've got time for 2 more questions here. So let's see. Katie Condon, I think this might be for you. Should a student decide to wait until the spring semester to start due to all of the COVID-related restrictions, what would the housing options be, and what would other challenges / drawbacks be with a deferral?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously you couldn't maintain the same room that you would have necessarily in the fall if you've already completed your housing selection. You'd have to go through that housing selection process again in the spring semester to get a new residence hall location. But the rest of the process, we do have a change of term form available on our admissions website. So if you were to choose to defer till spring, but I would highly recommend you reach out to your admissions regional recruiter, just because there's a lot of nuances with that change of term, how it would affect your financial aid. If you're going to take courses elsewhere, then you'd then be considered a transfer student. And so that may adjust your scholarship amounts. And so we can absolutely provide a link to the regional recruiters that we have here at WVU who can talk through that process in a little bit more detail, because it is so nuanced for each individual student.
Awesome, thank you. And then one last question here. What about libraries? Will the libraries be open, and how will that process work during post-COVID?
So I'll take a stab at that. Yes, libraries will be open. And as I mentioned, masks will be required by students when they're inside the library. There are plenty of tables and desks and chairs for students to use to study. And they can be at least 6 feet apart. So that may mean tables that normally maybe have 4 chairs around them may end up with 2 around them. And some of those tables and chairs may be moved around to some of the other open spaces throughout the library. But yeah, absolutely, our libraries will be available. But one of the things that students quickly learn is many and much of the library resources are online. And students oftentimes don't go to the library when they're doing their research. They're able to chat. There's a chat box and some other options for students to connect with the librarians while they're both sitting at their computer, either sharing a screen or the research librarians helping the students. So there are a number of options. Yes, libraries will be open, but students may not necessarily even want to go to the library.
Awesome. Thank you, Corey. And thank you all for your questions. With 141 of you in the room, I know we got to many of the questions, but we have not gotten to all of them. So please feel free to reach out to the Parents Club and email if you have a particular question, or as Lisa and Ricky talked about on the Facebook page, please feel free to send them a private message. Or if you have a COVID-related question, please email returntocampus@mail.wvu.edu.
Mountaineers go first, and so should you. See how we are leaving our impression on the world by hitting the subscribe button and following us on social media. So let's go.